Yahweh, Hashem Yahweh Shai, Hashem Chakodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is A Prelude to Babylon is Done, brothers. And pretty much this lesson is inspired by a clip that the young elder Barack Bar from the main school in New York, or main camp in New York, sent me. And wanted to do a lesson on this earlier. So Lord's will, be able to do it tomorrow with the Elder Demashpat. And I just wanted to do like a prelude to it because, everything that we see today is evident token that America, Babylon the Great, is falling. Her time of being an empire has come to an end pretty much. So what I did was I typed into the Google search engine how empires fall, right? So I'm gonna read a couple of these, read a couple of precepts, and Lord's will tomorrow I'll be able to do a lesson with the Elder Demashpat, because I want him to play the clip in the background while we do the lesson. But I just wanted to do a little prelude to it first. So it says, comparing how empires fall. When historians say that an empire fell, they mean that the central state no longer exercised its broad power. And we're noticing America's influence on the world falling. We're not seeing, people grasping on to America the way they did in the past. Like when, the 1400s, 1500s, 1600s, and so on and so forth. When Esau came out of, that 1,000-year prison sentence, so to speak, and he started to build his empires, and eventually America will come into power. America had a great stronghold on the world because, the whole Renaissance period was all about bringing Esau back up into power, to show himself that he was the Most High, which he's not, to show himself that he's the son of Yahweh, which he's not, to show himself that he's the angels, which he's not, so on and so forth. And that left a lasting impression, on the world since the Renaissance period. So we're noticing and witnessing now that grip that they had on the world is slipping, because all nations are starting to get the same technology as far as weaponry, and they're seeing that the more that they mess with America, the more they lose. They see that they're fighting a losing battle. It says this happened either because the state itself ceased to exist, or because the state's power was reduced as parts of the empire became independent of its control. And that's one thing that the international bankers don't want. They don't want people to be independent. They want them to be dependent upon the government, which is being run behind the scenes by the international banking families. Now there's another one here that says, what causes an empire to fall? It says, when a crisis hit, such as rebellion, plague, or attack from outside groups, the emperor was eventually unable to respond, and the empire itself would begin to collapse. Connected to cost and cohesion is the inconsistent number of people in the empire. The next one is, what led to the downfall of most ancient empires? Earlier empires declined because the elites took more than their share of income and resources and paid the price in internal malaise, depression, rebellion, or external conquest. And this is why the book of James, the 5th chapter, speaks about these, international banking families, howling and growling, so in so many words, for the miseries that are going to come upon them, for the way that they've treated the people of the world, especially the Israelites, and how they pretty much, robbed the people of their wages, gave them, a substance that's not worth the labor that the person is working for. You're supposed to compensate them well. The scriptures say, the Lord is going to be a swift witness against them that oppress the hireling in his wages, right? So I also typed in, do all empires eventually fall? It says that all empires think they're special, but all empires eventually come to an end. All right. The next one is, I have something here called, if you type in on Google American imperialism, you're going to come across this article in Wikipedia, and it explains what American imperialism is. It's them pretty much governing as an empire over others, and pretty much, you know, forcing their way of life, so to speak, their laws and their ways upon the world. So I'm going to jump down to the second paragraph, right? And it says, while the United States has never officially identified itself and its territorial possession as an empire, some commentators have referred to the country as such, including Max Boot, Arthur M. Schlesinger Jr., and Niall Ferguson. Other commentators have accused the United States of practicing neocolonialism, sometimes defined as modern form of hegemony, which a hegemony is pretty much, oh snap, Salaki about that. It's pretty much like an empire, pretty much. Right here it says hegemony says the political, economic, and military predominance of one state over other states. Hegemony can be regional or global, and America is a global hegemony because it has an influence over, the whole entire world. Because in the book of Revelation, it speaks about America, the world wandering after the beast. And America is the final stage of that beast, which is the eighth head out of the seven, So the whole world at one time was following, and falling head over heel, over America. All right. In the affairs of foreign country, there's been much debate topic domestic politics of the country's entire history. Should I have pointed to the country's origin as former colony that rebelled against oaths. All right, so let me see what else we got. And the other one, oh, this is just something that came up. Has any empire lasted 1,000 years? It said Byzantine Empire, the eastern half of the Roman Empire, which survived for 1,000 years after the western half had crumbled into various feudal kingdoms, and which finally fell to Ottoman Turkish onslaughts in 1453. All right, so the Byzantine Empire lasted 1,000 years, just like prophecy said, and Esau was, in a state of decline, in a state of imprisonment for that 1,000-year period. Now, just give you a couple of precepts and then close it out. Like I said, this is just a prelude to this lesson here. And Lord's will, like I said, tomorrow we could the Elder Damashapad and myself, we can do a lesson on it. Right. I just look at the word prelude, right? It says prelude, an action or event serving as an introduction to something more important. An introductory piece of music, most commonly an orchestral opening to an act of an opera, the first movement of a suite, or a piece preceding a fugue, or however you pronounce that. But the main one we want is an action or event serving as an introduction to something more important. And this is the introduction to that lesson. Babylon is, I believe it was Babylon is finished or something like that, brothers. So this is Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 6. It says, because to every purpose there is time and judgment, therefore the misery of man is great upon him. Right, so there's a time and judgment to everything. It says, for he knoweth not that which shall be, for who can tell him then when it shall be. All right. The next one is Ecclesiastes 9 and 11. I return and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to men of understanding, nor yet favor to men of skill. Right? Because it doesn't matter how much of a warrior you may be, no matter how much money you have, or how much influence you have, or how well you can speak. The point is that all empires fall. The only empire that will not fall ever will be the empire of Yahushai, which is the kingdom of Yahushai slash Yasha Allah. But it says, but time and chance happeneth to them all, right? Because they all had a time and a season to rule, and then that time and that season will eventually come to an end. This is what the scriptures call an age. This is why the apostles, which were disciples at the time, asked Yahushua, what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And when you look up that word world in the Greek, it's the word eon. You know, the word world, when you look it up in the New Testament and in the Old Testament, doesn't always mean the same word. This is why you have to look up the origins of language to find out what that particular word meant in that particular verse. You know, you can't get stuck on the English, you know, and expect to understand all of the scriptures, both Old and New Testament, based off of one word. Because words in English have a different meaning when you go back into the origin of language, you know, whether Hebrew or Greek. It says, but time and chance happeneth to them all, right? So that world or that eon or the age was the age of the Roman Empire, which was interrupted back then for 1,000 years, came back into power during the time of the Renaissance period. And now we're at the very end, you know, of that time and chance, all right? The next precept is Job 14:5. Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee, because the Lord ultimately has control over the time frame that Esau is to rule. And how do we know that these so-called white people that are ruling are Esau? Because the scriptures say that Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee, thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. He can't pass the amount of land and the amount of territory given to them to conquer, and they can't pass the time frame that the Lord gave them to rule. All right, and the last precept I have for this prelude is Daniel 5:24. Then was the part of the hand sent from him, and this writing was written, and this was when the Babylonian Empire came to an end. Today, America would be classified or considered Babylon the Great. So this is something similar that's happening right now, and all the signs are being seen that this American empire, it has been in decline for a long time, and they're at the very last stages, you know, of their decline, you know, which is the CTD, circulating the drain syndrome. All right. So it says, and this is the writing that was written, many tekel farson. This is the interpretation of the thing, many. The Most High had numbered thy kingdom and finished it. You know, so basically at the end of the day, the Lord gave a certain set time where this place would rule, and he gave the end of it. Matter of fact, I'm going to read this precept the elder put up. 2 Ezra 4:37, by measure hath he measured the time, and by number hath he numbered the time, and he doth not move nor stir them until the said measure be fulfilled. Prophecy does not move until the Lord says it does. Wake not my love until he please. Prophecy is dictated by time, in the time of the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right, so this is the interpretation of the thing. Many the Most High had numbered thy kingdom and finished it. So we're at the end of this kingdom. And how do we know that? By the signs that Yahushai gave, by the signs that were given to the prophets, Ezra, Ezekiel, Jeremiah, Isaiah, you know, so on and so forth. So we know we're at the very end. All of the signs are there. Prophecies are speaking loud and clear, you know, and those that have the eyes to see will see it, and those that don't have the eyes to see will scoff it until it's too late to repent. So it says, Tekel, thou art weighed in the balances, and are found wanting, right? Because America claims to be a God-fearing nation, you know, but at the end of the day, they don't follow, you know, what the scriptures say. This is the elder again from the GNT. It says, measure the years and number the days. Nothing will be changed until time has run its predetermined course. Beautiful. That's a beautiful translation. You know, because time dictates prophecy. You know, the Lord gave a certain time, and once that time, you know, elapses, that's when that prophecy comes to fruition, so to speak. It comes to life. All right, so the tekel that are weighed in the balances and are found wanting. All right, so this has been a prelude, which is an introduction to a greater, something more important, which Lord's will tomorrow, I will be doing the lesson with the elder Demashapat, Lord's will, if I'm still here, you know, we always have to say Lord's will. And now, want to be able to do this lesson, and I'll play the clip in the background, which I believe is a little longer than 6 minutes, because I want to, have that playing in the background, because there's a lot of points in that clip, that makes for a very good lesson. So this is Prelude. Babylon is done, brothers. And I thanked, the priest / young elder, Barack Gabar, for sending me that clip, and I told him to water for the clip and to water for the title, because that came along with the clip, and I used that as a title for the lesson. So with that, I pray that you brothers and sisters have been edified. Yahweh Bashem Yahushua brought a thumb to all the sincere, and shalom to the sincere sisters. And to the next time I say shalom. And I pray that you brothers and sisters have learned something. Shalom.